set to move a statue of Thomas Jefferson. New York Public Design Commission unanimously voted Monday to move the statue after its 106-year presence in the council chamber. Jefferson's legacy, much like the vast majority of his contemporaries, is complex. On one hand, Jefferson's work as a politician aided in the establishment of the United States. But on the other, he enslaved more than 600 human beings in his lifetime and consistently expressed views of white supremacy. Human rights activist Bree Newsome, thanks for sticking around to discuss this topic. So what do you make of New York's decision to move Jefferson out of the chamber?
I think this is a continuation of this moment of reckoning that we are in as a nation. And I think it ties back to everything else you've been talking about on the program tonight, right? Are we going to choose the path of multiracial democracy, or are we going to collapse under the weight and legacy and ongoing trauma of white supremacy? Thomas Jefferson, as you said, was a figure that embodied both of those. At the time of the revolution, he chose white supremacy. He chose slavery instead of choosing freedom and multiracial democracy. And so now I think, moving him somewhere else and telling the full story is one part of it. And then the other part of it is, what do we do now? Which path are we embracing? And I think that is what we are reckoning with. It's both the past and the present and the future.
How do you respond to the people who say we're on a slippery slope? The people who say, okay, it was one thing to talk about people in the South who fought against the country. They were basically treasonous. So they were slave owners, but they were also treasonous, so we can remove those statues. But when it comes to the people in the North, like the founding fathers, then we have to be more gingerly. How do you respond to that argument? Because eventually you get to George Washington. I mean, there's very little space left there.
It's an uncomfortable truth for people. The founders were Southern slave owners. And that's why we ended up in a Civil War situation. That conflict was there from the very beginning. And, we were talking in the last segment about how Black Americans are repeatedly compromised. We were compromised in the founding of this nation. That was how they came together in trying to heal things between the slave owning South and states in the North that were already abolishing at that time. George Washington famously chased an enslaved woman down on his own. I mean, this is the history, right? We have to take all of that legacy. There is good there, there's ugly there, there's bad there, there's slavery, there's genocide. But the fact is that when you don't reckon with history, you continually repeat it. And that's what we are seeing now in the struggle over voting rights, in the struggle over policing, right? In the struggle over things even like infrastructure, because all of it comes down to this question of who is worthy of citizenship, who is worthy of life and the pursuit of happiness, and these things that were named in the original document, right, that laid out why we were breaking from Britain and why we needed to have a government that was built around this concept of for the people and by the people. But who are the people? That's the question that has never been fully resolved. And so it's about statues, but it's about so much more than statues.
Do you personally believe that everyone who was an enslaver should have their statues removed from government buildings, and maybe even public spaces? And that would include, obviously, George Washington.
I think it's a valid conversation. I think in this situation with New York City Council, they were talking about moving it somewhere else where it is placed in a historical context. We had a similar conversation in North Carolina. There was a portrait of a Supreme Court justice who was very famous for basically legalizing cruelty towards enslaved people, and his portrait hung in the chamber of the North Carolina Supreme Court. And we had to make the decision to move it because the positioning of it there said something about that governing body, right? And so I think it's about the spaces where they are placed. We don't want to erase this history, but we have to place it in context so that we learn from it.
Bree Newsome, thank you so much for staying around tonight. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely.